wonderful part of your Tuesday evening to be here. This is the RRL Hudson Division Cabinet meeting. I'm going to hold these periodically to get an idea of, to give you guys an update of what's going on, to get an idea of what you're seeing and, you know, what you'd like to talk about and such like that. So I would ask, I'm going to mute everyone. And if you want to say something, please let me know either in the chat or you could probably unmute yourself. But I just had the ability to mute everyone. And okay, admit all. Okay, mute all. All right, okay. All right, so the first things first, we're in very unusual times. We have a pandemic, we have government restrictions, and regardless of what you think of those, this is what we have to deal with. And we have a number of different things affecting amateur radio, and you know, we're going to have to deal with it. So let me start off by saying that the ARRL has actually been taking a number of measures to deal with the restrictions and also the pandemic. All ARRL staff, those that are still working, which is, I would say, nearly all of them, they're working from home. They're able to do their work from home, most of it. There are some things which they can't do, such as print stuff and send out and receive postal mail that goes to 225 Main Street. But generally, you know, most functions are happening. And that's good news because some organizations have not fared so well. And I think that, you know, I think they did a remarkable job with getting that done. So, excuse me. The industry, meaning that QST and advertisers and such like that, they're obviously going to take a hit from this. It's going to you know, to give people a sort of a it's kind of gonna send some shockwaves, and obviously nobody's gonna be unscathed from this. But we're weathering the storm, and you know, you might see, I guess, fewer ads in QST, or you might see some other changes. I can't go into specifics, but obviously, you know, this could be extrapolated based on what's going on otherwise. All right. So let me tell you some specific things. So as far as most people have been doing things like processing memberships, license renewals, and things like that, if you send it via email or you make a phone call, it will be processed in time. If you send it via postal mail, you're going to have to wait a few months, because right now there's only one person going to headquarters to retrieve mail, and they don't open everything. So they open the important things like bills and, you know, receivables and stuff like that are important to keep things running. The rest of the stuff could wait. The things like DXCC applications and stuff like that are gonna wait. The processing of awards applications, those are being processed via Logbook of the World. Obviously, there are not going to be any plaques. There are not going to be any certificates mailed out. Those will be mailed out after they reopen. Excuse me. V credentials. There have been a lot of people asking to become VEs, and understandably, there's been a surge, I would say, in people interested in joining the hobby. And as a result, people have been wanting to become volunteer examiners. Well, that is working if you email it to the VC department. If you mail it or if you fax it, it'll get lost. When I mean lost, it will not, you know, get lost forever. It'll just be waiting there in limbo until they reopen. So the best advice is email, right? So let's proceed. So we have new ARRL benefits. We have the On the Air magazine, which you've seen. This is the 3rd issue. They talk about building Go kits. And it's quite neat. They have a lot of practical tips and advice. And I usually send out a few of these to clubs every time I get them. I'm waiting on my shipment of 5 of them that I usually get. I asked for a few more the first issue, so I sent out maybe like a dozen or 2 to the to clubs, selected clubs, and I try to rotate them around. So I have some I'm going to send out. All right.
Excuse me, Rhea.
Yes.
All right. I hate to be a drag on this, but why don't we get into stuff that actually involves us on Corona, not the PR stuff for the league? We want to know what our position is, what our responsibilities are, and what our duties are to our people in our areas.
Okay. Adam, I will get to all of that. Okay. I have an agenda. I'm going to follow the agenda. Okay. Please respect that. Thank you. I'm going to get to everything that's dealing with our Corona, and we're going to, but I'm talking about general stuff that's with the league. All right. So the other new benefit we get is we're going to have QEX and NCJ are going to be free for all members, and it's going to be electronically available. So if you go to awrl.org, you go to the magazines app in the App Store, you can see the QEX and NCJ available in the app. So I have the app here, right? I'll show you the magazines app, and I'll hold questions for after the agenda, please, unless it's very important right now, unless you have to leave. Renee?
No, I can't hear you. It's very low.
Is everybody hearing me very low or high?
You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
No
All
problem.
right. Yeah, because my levels are quite high.
Audio fine here.
Okay. Now, if you look
Zoom
at the,
has an audio adjustment.
yeah, my audio is like almost full.
Rhea, your audio is fantastic here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm using a Shure SM58, so it should be good. Yeah, so if you look on the app itself, you'll see on the top here, you'll see QST, you'll see QEX. I don't know if you can see it properly. You'll see NCJ, and you'll see On the Air. So each one of these magazines is available for every ARRL member. And they will, they're available on the app digitally. If you want printed copies, you can still subscribe. If you want printed copies of On the Air magazines, you could still, you could choose that instead of your QST, although I don't really recommend it, but you can get it once every 2 months versus QST every month. All right. Okay. So apart from that, I just went over that briefly, trying for all the news not to be about COVID, because I've been sending out a lot of news about COVID, and, it's kind of getting tiring now. So the next thing we're doing new is the VE testing. So there's been a lot of different ways to get, a few different ways to get VE testing done. Because one, we need to prepare for emergencies. We want to make sure that people could still, get into the amateur radio service and train and be ready for, whatever happens. And also, amateur radio has been a good vehicle against social isolation. So VE sessions are still ongoing. Warren County Radio Club actually did a great VE session concept where they had them in cars, where they were drive up. They did require more VEs. They did require some more precautions to be taken, but they got it done. And they actually they you know, they did a YouTube video. Mickey Carento, N2MC, formerly NY2MC, he showed a video of that, and it's quite good. So if you want to see it, and I'll send it out to the chat, and you can see that. The other big thing is online testing. So it's a little, it's not what you think, where you go online to a website and take an exam, and you know, without supervision, and it just you just get a license in the mail or email right after. It doesn't work that way. What you do is you have to work with the VE team, and the VE team has two different methods. So the first one is exam tools method. And I will share my screen here, and I'll show you what Columbia University, what they're doing. That's Alan Crosswell, N2YGK. And I will, let me see here. There we go. Right? If you look at them, they have a whole set of instructions on what they do with their video supervised license exam sessions. So the license exams they're doing, if you look at the process, you'll see it's quite involved in terms of the prerequisites. The candidates must show their room. They must have 2 cameras on at all times, and they must also not have any materials, books, or anything in the room. And it is quite cumbersome, believe it or not. But you know, for many, it's the only option right now. And I think even after COVID has passed, we might still have some version of this, because you know, people who are homebound, people in nursing homes and such, without having to bring people to their homes or to their nursing home facility, we could test them and it'll be good. The other approach I've seen is by the excuse me, the Hawaii group. So I'll bring up a document that they sent me, where they're actually doing these exams, but they're doing it a little different in terms of they're not using a website. They're actually using pencil and paper, but they're doing the remotely video supervised exams. So this is the instructions they gave me, right? And if anybody's interested in this process, I will have Joe set up a session, you know, where you're invited and you could go and supervise the exam. You'll have to turn off your video and turn off your audio, and they will basically, you know, run the exam. There is another document. Let me see here. Video supervised exams, right? And they have, this is for the VEs. They have, you know, website they register on. They could do, they're actually doing more than 2 exams right now. They're using the Zoom breakout rooms, and they're doing more. They're using filled PDFs, and you pay by check. Now, I think they also take PayPal or Venmo or other payment methods, but this, you know, they're getting this done. And you see, it's quite a list of instructions. If any team, any VE team, any club wants to do this, I could get them in touch. Just let me know. We've had quite a few. We've had Peconic, we've had Orange County, we've had quite a few others doing this approach. So, all right, and that's been pretty good, and that has been, you know, one of the things that'll help us get through this. Field day, which is the other thing. So field day has been kind of a little contentious issue, because myself and a few other of the directors wanted to make the rules a little more accommodating for those who are not able to do their usual field day setup. So we propose to expand the circle from 1,000 feet to more than that. We proposed club competition like you have for contests. We propose also letting Class D stations work other Class D for credit. And all of that was rejected by the Programs and Services Committee by a very narrow vote. And that, to me, you know, it seemed to me like it really wasn't, it didn't have encouraging social distancing in mind. The rationale given was that we are an emergency, we should operate as if we're in an emergency. You know what, I disagree, but in the end I have to support the decision of the committee and the board. So it is what it is, and I really hope that, you know, that we get, we have a successful field day. It's disappointing because I wouldn't be able to go to all the clubs. I was planning to traverse NLI this year. I might go next year to NLI, but we'll see how it goes. You know, who knows? Some places might be open. I doubt that that we might have anything open here. So, but the ARRL website actually has a number of suggestions of how to operate field day, and you can see here on the actual website, which I will share for you. Right? They have you know, creative approaches to field day. They talk about a number of different approaches, including, one thing was, you know, remote operation is a big thing now. Well, you could put all your radios next to the generator and then operate further away. You know, the transmitters will still be in the 1,000-foot circle, but your Wi-Fi or your Ethernet cable could go further than that. And that's how some plan to do it. You have other things where people are planning to just operate emergency power at home. You know, that's how I plan to do it. And I will basically be, you know, at home here. I will have a solar panel and batteries, and I'm going to be doing field day, probably QRP that way. So I really hope we make, you know, good a field day. It's going to be different this year, and it's going to be a lot more, you know, it's probably going to end up being different for the rest of the years, because I think some people are going to do this thing differently from now on. All right, so club meetings and video conferencing. I've been setting up clubs with video conferencing, and I'm very happy that clubs have been taking advantage of it. Please do, if your club wants video conferencing, let me know. But actually now it might not even be necessary, because Google is offering free video conferencing through meet.google.com. So you could try that. But if you still want to use Zoom, I will let you use Zoom. And you know, that's one thing we could do. I also like that clubs have been doing these nets. I really appreciate that all the clubs have been doing the COVID-19 nets, that they're telling people where to find supplies, what to do, you know, and just keeping people together, you know. Clubs that are holding video seminars like Fair Lawn. I know Fair Lawn is holding their coffee talks, KAWFEE talks, and they've been having good success with that. Ed, WX2R, has been doing yeoman's work with the publicity. So truly appreciate that. If you want more information about that, you can contact him, Whiskey X-Ray 2 X-Ray. I'm sorry, Whiskey X-Ray 2 Radio, or you could contact the president, Nomar, November Papa 4 Hotel, and I see he's in this meeting as well. And they'll get you. All right. All right, so let's get on to other ARRL business. The CEO search is ongoing. I can't talk too much about it because it's personnel matter. The committee has meetings, regular meetings, and then they give us the minutes. I talk to some of the committee members and make sure, you know, that I'm well informed of what they're doing. So they're looking through candidates, and per the motion passed in January, we will have 3 candidates, and the board will get to vote on those 3, and one of them will become CEO. So we're hoping for the best. We're actually not more, we're more than just hoping. We're going through this process and making sure that we get the best we can. The emergency management director, that search is still ongoing. We're actively interviewing candidates, and we have the committee working on that. So that's going to be, hopefully that might be together with the new CEO, or we don't know when the exact timing of that is. But that'll be a hire that's coming up soon. And we have a lot of good people, a lot of good people we've been interviewing. So we hopefully get somebody good. So the last one I wanted to talk about before we do an open Q&A was we have a number of pending FCC actions. And the first one of them, I know the biggest one of them, is the symbol rate ruling. So basically, the Part 97 rules actually put a baud rate limit of 300 baud, for data on HF. And that limit has been kind of, excuse me, kind of been holding back technological progress. In particular, some people think that, it's holding back WinLink and Pactor 4, and they want to be able to send faster data, and they want to actually be able to send, their message throughput a lot faster using Pactor 4, which is currently illegal to use on the amateur radio bands. So that's still pending at the FCC. We do have the band plan that's going to be presented to the board at the July meeting, which might be virtual, or it seems that it's probably going to be virtual, but we don't know. Yeah, okay, right. So we're waiting on the FCC to act on that. We're waiting on the FCC to also act on one with technician enhancement. Now, the thing is that comments have been filed, and a lot of comments pro and against. So we're kind of just waiting and seeing what the FCC will do. Like I said, if you feel strongly one way or the other, you should have filed your comments during the comment period. And if you are, if you still want to comment, I don't think the comment period is open. There might be other ways to comment on it, but I've heard a lot of things on both sides, and I have my thoughts about it. But in the end, I tell people, send their comments to the FCC, and we'll deal with that. The FCC also acted. We actually sent comments on. Let me bring it up here so I quote him exactly. K3ZJ sent me something this morning. So the RF safety rules. So the ARRL filed comments to the FCC to address the use of the minimum permissible emission measurements to determine compliance of different emissions on HF bands in terms of RF safety. And the lab also did some analysis and review, so that will be something that we're looking to get a favorable ruling for us. There'll be an article on the ARRL website, no doubt, and I'll send that out. We also filed comments in conjunction with AMSAT on satellite debris rules, some of which were becoming burdensome for the amateur radio service proposed rules, and the FCC, I believe, has taken those into account into its ruling. So we're not going to have rules that are overly burdensome to us. Okay, and let me see what else I have left on this. And okay, bear with me 1 minute, and then I'll open it up for questions. All right. I think that's pretty much it. Probably not everything was covered, but I'm going to now, let me just, okay. And then I'm going to allow everybody to unmute themselves. So if you want to ask a question, okay. Oh, there is one more thing. The HOA antenna restrictions. Well, Congress is pretty much dealing with COVID right now. I put out a request to find out what we're doing about that, and I'm waiting a response. But right now, Congress is pretty much tied up with COVID. So,
Maria, I'm sorry I got tied up on a phone call.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So I would request that if you want to ask a question, that you raise your hands in the chat or you send a message in chat, and then we'll have one person talk at a time. Okay. So if you have a question, please feel free to go ahead now. Okay. Anybody has questions? Anybody raise their hand in the chat? Okay, I see Renee Totaro. Could you go ahead with your question?
You had answered the one question, it was about the hearing, but I do have a second question. It's kind of funny.
Okay.
Do you ever sleep?
Kind of, is what I would say. All right.
I typed the text in the middle of the night, and I'm thinking that you would answer it, and you answered it. I was like, oh my goodness, does she ever sleep?
Yeah, no, what happened is I work long hours, even at home, and I'm working longer hours now. So it kind of, I try to align with my overseas teams. So she was asking, do I ever sleep? So anyway, Dave WB2KSP is said that I'm glad the HOA issue is still being dealt with. I understand there are more important issues going on right now. Yes, the HOA issue is not dead. It's not, excuse me, it's not, it's not dead. Fred Hopengarten, K1VR, has been working with the state legislatures, and the state legislatures, he's been getting positive feedback there. Meanwhile, Jim, K6JAT, has been working on crafting federal legislation that we're going to take back to Congress when all of this COVID stuff is done. So that's pretty much where we at right now. Okay. All right. Anybody else got a question? Any changes in VHF contest rules? Not right now in terms of for COVID. Not that I know of.
Maria?
Yes,
I'm sorry. Yeah. Just specifically related to COVID, what do you anticipate are responsibilities being over the next several weeks, especially here in New York with the lifting of restrictions? Do you expect any activations of Aries or any other, services provided by us? I'm sorry, I got three things going here.
Okay. All right. So as far as the Aries activations, we do not anticipate anything Aries at this time because there is no communications failures. There are only a few scenarios where we would actually have to deploy Aries with this, which is one, if the telephones and the internet decides to go straight out because people are just too sick to go to work or some other thing or some natural disaster unrelated to COVID, and or they just plain get overloaded because everybody's working from home. All right. All right, I have a few questions in the chat here as well. As far as other activations, I think right now they will probably be local because you have a lot of medical crises locally, and we have to be on standby to support our local authorities if they're actually giving us, if there's a need, if their communication channels are down. But right now, I don't see any of that happening. I think right now our role right now is to support people who are staying at home and give them something to gather together. So I'll take some questions in the chat here. Mike S. asked if there's any info on reforming national traffic system. And the answer is probably. It's one of the discussions that we're talking about with the MCOM manager, MCOM director hire. And this person will actually oversee that function. And one of the things we definitely are concentrating on is MCOM and how it relates to the national traffic system in general. But W2RU, the director from Roanoke, he actually is a former NTS guy, and he definitely wants and is making concrete steps to reform NTS for our emergency needs. Jason?
Right. Rhea, I have one additional for you.
Okay, Adam, can you hold on a second, please? I want to take these questions in order before they scroll off the page. All right. Thank you. If you want, Adam, you could put it in the chat, please, and then I'll do it there. There's no change in field day logs. Everybody sends in their own log. Field day doesn't have logs. Field day has a summary sheet, and everybody sends in their own summary sheet. What is Jason Sweeney asks, what is the ARRL doing to promote amateur radio to student colleges and other youth clubs? That's a good question. They have the ARRL college initiative. They also have the
I'll be down.
okay. The Teachers Institute has been canceled this year, unfortunately, due to lack of interest and also COVID challenges. But there's lots of stuff going on. And On the Air magazine is heavily aimed toward younger hams. So that's one way to do it. Simon Rosenberg asked, yesterday I mentioned Patriot flagpole used to hide a wire antenna. No, I mentioned that the West Gulf director actually helped pass a bill in Texas dealing with flagpoles that would benefit hams who want to put up antennas. Joe NE2Z says, what do you think Aries races can provide? This time is missing. Okay. Flagpole. Okay. Paul Wolfmeyer, W2PTP, how can we aggregate FD scores for the club morale? That's a very good question. So ARRL is actually going to be publishing these in the magazine. They're actually going to be publishing not the club aggregate scores, but they're going to be publishing club names next to the scores. And there are plans actually by different groups to actually aggregate these separate of the ARRL. So 3830 scores, for example, normally does, they list clubs with scores. There might be some interest with other groups. I'm not saying 3830 is going to be doing it, but other groups that might encourage people to submit their field day scores, and then they get them aggregated separately. This will be outside of the ARRL, and it's not official, but it's a good way to see who did well. And thank you, Jim, W2KFV, for being ready. Yes, we should always be ready. And okay, Adam, I'll take your question if you wanted to do it now. Adam? Okay. All right, let me take a few more.
Sorry, it's Rhea. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to move the mouse around.
Okay.
How many of the other areas in our division are actually holding, like health and welfare nets, like we're doing here on the Embark machine? Try to take care of our own people. We have a lot of senior hams, as you all know, because you were here for Ted's 100th birthday.
Right.
But, we have a lot of senior hams that are basically locked in the house at this point. How many other areas of our division are actually conducting these nets? Do you know?
Yeah, so actually in my updates, if you get my email updates, I list them and we have at least one per section. So we have Fair Lawn does a Northern New Jersey net, and they actually are on Echolink. So anybody in the country can get to them. You have several clubs out on New York City, Long Island, NLI. They're doing fantastic. You have Great South Bay. You have, Great South Bay tells people to check into their nets, and they're doing special events and all sorts of other stuff. Limark. You have NY4Z, Big Apple Traffic Net. They're doing COVID nets. So it's all in the updates. I'll send out a list again. And we have at least one per section, with Eastern New York having, I think, 2 or 3. And New York City, Long Island also having a few of them. I think New York City, yeah. So they're great. They're great. And thank you for the job you guys are doing. It's really amazing. And on that, Lou, N2RQ, if you are in New York and you are in a county, especially, and I'm surprised that some of the counties like Bronx and stuff are not represented, there is a K2H special event for our Healthcare Heroes operation. We want to, honor them, and we honor them by what we do best, which is get on the air and, get people to virtually cheer them on. Please, if you're in a county in New York, or even if you're anywhere in New York, that's in a county that's not represented or even as represented in the K2H, please contact Lou, or I think LEW, Lou N2RQ, and also Lou NO2C, November Oscar 2 Charlie. I think he is running that special event, and he is actually going to get you assigned, and you could get on the air and activate your county. It's going to be like the New York QSO party, right? And then that's going to be they're going to send out certificates via email or website, I think, and it's going to be a grand old time. Rich K2WR asks question regarding the July board meeting. Rich, if you want to unmute yourself and ask.
I think I had. Okay. So other than the ongoing CEO search, which you mentioned, if you know more about the agenda for the July board meeting, is there anything on the agenda regarding ARRL governance?
So there were a few unresolved issues from January, such as public being able to attend the meetings and such like that. I think that was tabled for further study. As far as governance issues, I will have more information on that soon. There's still stuff going on in committees, but so far I don't have any full picture of that, but I will definitely find out about that and send that out. I'll send that to you, and I'll put in my newsletter, what I could put. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and your newsletters are very informative.
Thank you, Rich. All right. Okay. Joe K2QY has said that there is some thought that Aries might be needed if the internet was overloaded and provide communications between hospitals, which is a very good point. I know Tri-County Radio Association, they have an arrangement, a memorandum of understanding with Trinitas, and they are involved in hospitals. I know many other groups also are involved with hospitals, so that's a really good point. And you should be available to provide that kind of communications, because it might happen. Because right now the internet is really suffering. I mean, people are seeing a speed drop, and then YouTube is downgraded in video quality and stuff like that too. Right, Dave Brooks, field day, existing rules do stand. Okay. Okay. KFE, NE2Z. All right. Okay, Fios have bumped everybody to gigabit speed. So if you have Fios, you get gigabit speed. Good to know. Right. Larry, KB2Z WZT, did you have a question?
acknowledging the gigabit speed. Thought
Okay.
400 over 400 was fast, and now it's incredible.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Would I be open from Kurt? Would I be open to attending club virtual meetings and giving the ARRL presentation? Absolutely. I've been to quite a few. I've been to WECA yesterday, and I've been to a few other club meetings all around the division. And of course, you know, I'm always available virtually and in person when there is no deadly virus roaming around. Donnie, W2BRU, will there be section manager elections? It seems that way because that's far enough out that it won't be affected. So let's hope if it does get canceled, you'll definitely know, right? John K2QY said there's been an uptick in hands passing away. Yeah, you might see my silent keys list. Unfortunately, it's too long. I really just want, you know, people to stop dying. I've lost a few friends, and I really, it's, you know, it's tough. So we lost, I think we lost Warren, K2UFM, and we lost quite a few others. So, right. What else? K2H, Adam Novick. Okay. I'm going to mention K2H to the Atlantic Division so they can get the other counties in New York. Go to station can be run if done safely. I believe the answer to that is yes, but I will clarify with Paul. Is youth membership still limited to under 21? The answer is no. It's actually now 26 years old. So if you're a youth and you're 26 years and younger, you qualify for youth membership. So that's a good point. It actually got raised to 26 years old. And also there's a life membership for those who are over 70 and who have had, I believe, 25 years of ARRL membership. They can apply for life membership at half price. My field day proposals that were rejected. So basically I wanted to get the circle size of the circle increased, and also get one delta, as in home stations, to be able to count other home stations when they work them. And that was two of mine, and also club aggregate scores. Right. Thanks for the information on Middlesex. Drew, if you could email that to me, please. So 3830 is the score aggregation group. Okay, so K2OFM Bill asked me, can you discuss the proposed change amplifier rules? So if you have an RF power amplifier, like many of us do, well, and usually you need like 50 to 100 watts to drive it. Well, there's new technology called LDMOS, which is basically a solid state amplifier that runs very high gain, and also sorry, I had to irrigate there. Yeah, so these amplifiers run at very high gain, so you could basically put 3 and 4 watts in and get 1500 watts out. This would be very good because you're not heating up your exciter, you know, your radio, and also you could use QRP rigs and amplify them to full power. This was proposed at the FCC a few years ago, and there's been no action. But it could be possible that they might act on this soon, because there have been a number of discussions with them regarding amateur rules. So this might be one of the things. I can't say for sure, but it's definitely one of the things we talked about. All right. Whiskey 2 QSL Bureau is operating. So you know what? Rather than me talk about it, I'm going to let Doug, W2EN, he's on there. If you could talk about the Whiskey 2 QSL Bureau.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. The W-2 Bureau had its last meeting in March, and that was sort of not too many people had showed up because we had already started into the virus. In April, we just shut the meeting off and didn't have it at all. The other night, last week, we did have our first virtual meeting with all the people. Matter of fact, Rhea helped to get the thing set up. So we met with folks and put a plan together that we're not going to put any of our people in any kind of getting together directly. And in fact, the place that we meet is closed anyway up in Morris County. So what we are going to do is in June, we will collect all the cards that have come in from the post office in the meantime, and we will get that out to our sorters and our letter managers, and hopefully we'll be able to have the first regular meeting, rather a mailing of the year sometime in early July or late June. If anybody has any issues about your account, or you wanted to make sure that if any checks have been sent in, we got it, send me an email, w2en@awrl.net, and I will get an answer back to you. But we don't expect at this point to be actually mailing any more cards until the July timeframe. But we will do everything we can without having a meeting to get the cards out to the letter managers at that period of time.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. That was good. All right. So does anybody else have any announcements they want to say, in front of the whole group? You could tell me in the chat, or you could raise your hand and I'll get to you. All right. Is Ed here, WX2R?
I am.
All right. Could you just talk a little bit about the coffee talks?
Yeah, I mean, as many of you know, we used to do an in-person speaker series. We ran it for more than 5 years, monthly speakers. Joe Taylor was one of our speakers. Right. And obviously the virus basically shut us down in March. And a couple of guys in our club came up with an idea that, let's put some of our own talent on. And we started a coffee talk series. This last Friday night was our first. N2SU, Bob, did a program on 6-meter propagation. And we put it on Zoom, and we got about 73 people show up, which was great for us. And obviously now we're going to be running it on a monthly basis. We're going to keep it on the same schedule that we did our in-person speaker series, which is the third Friday of every month. So we're programmed out at least 2 months, but probably a little bit more in terms of just speakers overall. And if you want some background on it, drop me a note, WX2R, Whiskey X-Ray 2 Romeo, at ARRL.net, and I'll get that information over to you. Nomar is also on the call, NP4H. So if you want to drop him a call, same address. We'll take care of it for you. So Rhea, I hope that's good. Back to you.
All right, thank you. And anybody recognize this cup? No? So I got this.
One of my favorite sitcoms.
That's right. I went there and I operated the station, and they gave me a cup. So they can't pay me, but they gave me a cup. Okay. All right. So last call for any announcements, anything you'd like to tell the division, what your club is doing, etc. Let me know. All right. Well, yes.
This is Frank, KA5EVI,
yes.
up in Wilson County.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, and we are doing drive-in testing on the 13th of June again.
Okay, so if you want to talk a little bit about that, before we sign off.
Okay, well, basically, we send them an email and tell them the things to do. Clean out the front seats. You can't have anything on either seats. No stuff in the cup holders. All kinds of things. If you can't have a telephone in the car, you can throw it in the back seat or something. But basically, we have one person stand by the side where the guy's testing. or you can walk around to the other side and look in and watch what you're testing. We give them a clipboard with the information on it, and they fill in their 605s and their CSCEs and everything. And then we collect all that up, and then we give them the test. And like I said, we monitor them doing the test. The parking lot we use has about enough room to do 8 at about 10 feet apart. And so basically, if we have more than that, we have a second session or whatever. The last time we did it, we had 4 or 5 more, and it was getting late, so we had those the following week. But like I said, it just takes more VEs because you have to have at least 1 per vehicle also, plus the 3 that are grading and the other stuff. So it does get a little hectic at times. And like I said, even the tables where we do the grading, you know, they're 12-foot tables, and so you sit at the middle of the table and you're way far from the other ones and just pass the stuff down. And it works pretty good once you watch it. Like I said, you saw the video, and we were happy to do it. And we got 7 out of 8 either got their license or upgraded on the first one. And the second time, all 4 upgraded. So it's been pretty good, and we enjoy it. And like I said, we don't have to get on top of each other and do anything important. Just park them and then go to town.
Okay, thank you. That was very good. I've been talking up that as well, and I've been showing Mickey's video. So,
Rhea,
yes?
can he give us something where we can find that video on YouTube, something to type in to YouTube search?
Yeah, so you know what? Let me send it to the chat. Actually, I will email it out again, you know, as part of the notes of this meeting. Also, I'll send it out in one of the sorry, this thing goes to private people here. Yeah, I'll send it out to the chat here. So it's in the chat. If you look for, and you have to spell his name correctly, if you look for Mickey Corrento, that's 1 R and 2 T's. Okay, because that tripped me up too. You'll see he has a video about that. So it's on Mickey's YouTube channel.
It's also
all right
on our website. It's on our website, w2wcr.org.
There you go. So it's on the Warren County. So it's on the Warren County Radio Club website, w2wcr.org. Whiskey2whiskeycharlieradio.org. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So one final note before I go. It's 9 o'clock. Thank you all for coming. John, K2QY in Eastern New York, the section manager, has a Zoom Pro account if any club wants to use it for their club meetings. It's free to use for him. Well, sorry, it's free to use for the clubs. And email him at k2qy@awrl.org and he'll set you up. If you want as well for any of the sections in the division, you can also email me at n2rj@awrl.org. I will set up a meeting and I'll let you host it. Jim, W2KFV, also has a Zoom meeting. And in Northern New Jersey, unfortunately, Steve is dealing with some health issues, so he's not as present, but you know, he's still doing his news updates and such. But you know, keep him in your prayers. He's going through a lot right now. So anything, you know, you want to deal with that, you know, you could always reach out to me as well. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. 73. Have a good night. I'm going to post this up on the Facebook and YouTube somewhere. And we're going to have another one of these probably closer to July, probably in July when we're going to the board meeting. This way we'll have all the committee reports and such ready. All right. Thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, Rhea.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Well,
Good night.
7-3 all.
7-3.
Good job.
Thank you, Rhea.
Thank you, Rhea.
Thank you, bye-bye.